I thought I would bring you along on a weekend trip with Eagles Outdoors. Here we are, starting our hike to Virgin Falls. We're hiking about 8 miles, 2 days, one night, and we're going to be camping at the Caney Fork River just below the falls. It's a beautiful fall day. The trail starts off nice and flat, just walking through some beautiful hardwood forests. It was perfect weather today and great leaves every direction you looked, all sorts of colors. The students all told me at the beginning of the hike their favorite colors, and red was the resounding favorite of all the students on the trip. The hike follows a creek bed. The geology along the way is interesting with different sandstone formations. This is one of my favorite spots along the trail. A little sandstone cliff. The creek bed was dry. Even one of the largest falls along the way to Virgin Falls was just a trickle. This is Big Laurel Falls, which also houses a large cave. It's a little hard to tell, but this cave could easily fit a whole soccer field in it. They say that you used to be able to camp in the cave.
They don't like the gnats. They're not biting. So far, no mosquitoes, so that's good. But you can see them waving their hats. They're not waving at me, they're just waving away all the gnats.
After our little break at Big Laurel Falls, we continued our walk. I was getting a little worried because there seemed to be very little water, and I wasn't sure if there would be water at our campsite. But the students were really enjoying our hike, and we knew that we were going to be hiking mostly downhill on this trip, which they were excited about. We had left a car at the Rylander Cascades trailhead, which meant that we didn't have to turn around and hike back up the trail. The trail to Virgin Falls drops about 600 feet in elevation, which for a beginner trip would be quite the hike out. This was my first overnight trip wearing my Chacos, so I was interested to see how my feet did. The last time I was here, this rope swing was in the water, the bottom of the rope. And now, as you can see, the river is totally dry. Looks like the water, if there is any, is all underwater. And this, you can kind of tell if you look that direction and look this direction. This is a low point right here. And I'm about to show you something crazy. You might, if you don't want to see a bunch of dead fish, I would look away, because it's an absolute graveyard of fish down here. Let's see if I can. I don't know if you can see that, but there are hundreds and hundreds of dead fish, and it smells so bad. You can see all the flies. There's just tons of them, all sorts. My theory is that this is a low spot
in the river, and when the water was going down, they all came here, but it's kind of creepy. Some of them have been eaten, a lot of them have not. So anyway, it's beautiful out here, but not down here. And we have to hike to the waterfall to get water, which was why we camped here, so that's a bummer. So I'm standing in the middle of the Caney Fork, and it is completely dry. This is the riverbed. I've never seen anything like this, but I think this is actually pretty normal for here. It's hard to believe, but I guess the water is running underground if there is any. But there's none right now, as far as I can see. Just dry riverbed.
We ended up walking up to the falls for both dinner and breakfast the next day in order to have easier access to the water. But the students enjoyed the community we shared around the dinner table. The hike out was more of the same, although there was more uphill than I remembered. The students overall had a great time, and I really enjoy the Rylander Cascades side of the trail. There's a lot more boulders, and just I enjoy that side of the forest a lot. Here we have what I believe is some evidence of an old homestead with the beautifully stacked stones. I like how the small tree grows out of what I believe would have been a chimney. The descent down to Rylander Cascade is enjoyable. The trail seems to have been some sort of four-wheel drive track. I really enjoy these large vines that you find in the Tennessee forest. Here we are taking a break at what we believe is the highest point of our hike. Overall, I think it was a great experience for all the students. For most of them, it was their first time on a backpacking trip, and for some, their first time sleeping outside. I'm really happy that our little mini through hike plan worked out so well. We were able to walk the whole 8 to 9 mile trail all the way back to the car, which you can see us approaching here. I enjoyed working with my fellow trip leader and all of the students on the trip. These weekend trips are the best part of my job, and I'll definitely miss them. Fall is very beautiful in Tennessee, and if you were to visit, that's when I would recommend, especially if you can come when the leaves are turning. Here we are at the very end of our hike, which is always kind of a bittersweet moment for me. I've gotten to the point where I just wish these trips would never end. But I know that when you're first getting into the outdoors, it's really an exciting moment to have accomplished something. So thanks for watching, and I hope you got something out of this video.